Wednesday, and welcome to Talk Radio with Dr. K, the place where talk is power. If you were waiting a moment ago at the top of the hour, you heard me come on. That was pre-recorded. This is live. I am here today, and I'm so excited to be back in the studio live at WOKB 1680 AM. I am so thrilled to have you joining me for another episode of Talk Radio with Dr. K. Hey, today is Get Your Mind Right Wednesday. Okay, that's my version of it. I'm going to give you Glenn's version of it. Get your mind right Wednesday.
Get your mind right. Get your mind right.
Get your mind right. So this is our opportunity to kick off a new month. Happy September. For those of you who are celebrating with me the movement through 2020, happy September. So glad to see these days coming, but most of all, so grateful to be in the land of the living. Celebrating the goodness of God and how He has just kept us, how He's blessed us, how He is continuing to preserve our lives. So even in the midst of the tragedies, the injustices, the things that we are experiencing, we can truly say we are still blessed. And I'm so grateful that we are able to say that. So today on Get Your Mind Right Wednesday, of course, I've got my girl joining me, our resident psychotherapist, Andrea Wise-Brown. Hi, Andrea.
Hey, Dr. K. Get your mind right Wednesday.
It is
Hello.
Get Your Mind Right Wednesday. You know, it was so interesting. We did a conference at New Life a couple of years ago. And Andrea, of course, you were there. You were a guest speaker. And it was entitled Get Your Mind Right. That was the theme, right? And so the committee kept teasing me because I was always saying, get your mind right. And they wanted me to say, Dr. K, it's yo. You cannot say your. It is your mind. And so I'm still working on that yo part. Glenn is helping me though. Glenn is helping me. And I'm always so grateful for Glenn because he helps me with other words in my vocabulary to describe the guests we have.
I got you.
And so he helps me. You got me, Glenn?
Yeah.
Glenn said he's got me, and so I'm so grateful for that. But Andrea, welcome back. Happy September to you. It is always a thrill to have you joining me the first Wednesday in every month. So always mark your calendar. So to our listeners who continue to come back, thank you. Thank you for hanging in here with us. And then to our new listeners, mark your calendars every first Wednesday. It is Get Your Mind Right Wednesday, and you don't want to miss these episodes with Andrea Wise-Brown. She is a psychotherapist in Dallas, Texas, doing the thing, helping others to get their minds right as we navigate the realities that we navigate. But I'm honored, always honored to have her here with me. So, what are we diving into today, Andrea?
Okay, so today what we are going to talk about is self-sabotage. Mm-hmm. Get out of your way.
Get out of your way.
Yes. Because, you know, it's very easy when we're in situations that are unfavorable, situations that we don't like, situations where we're uncomfortable. It's easy for us to blame somebody else. Mm-hmm. Well, it's because he did this, or it's because he did that. You know, you're on your way to work in the morning, or, well, let's just say in the past, some of us now, but you're on your way to work. I know, right? Pandemic. You're on your way to work, and as you're driving, because you know in your mind that you have 15 minutes to get to your job, yet it takes you 20 minutes to get there, and you're on the highway, and because somebody's in front of you, and they go on the speed limit, you pissed at them. So you're upset. You're yelling at them, you know, and you're making it their fault. Well, is it really their fault? Get out of your
Because they are obeying the law?
Yes. Yeah. Well, because they are slowing you up. That's your thought process. They are slowing you up. But I'm going to challenge you. Are they slowing you up, or did you create this conundrum for yourself? Because if you would have prepared, if you would have thought about the reality of how long it takes you to get where you were, well, maybe you would have gotten up a little bit earlier. Maybe you would have gone to bed a little bit earlier, right? So you would have prepared yourself and you would have left home earlier.
Yes.
So a lot of these, things that we look outside ourselves to blame someone else for is our stuff. So I am here today in September, and we're almost through 2020, but I am here just to remind everybody, to challenge you, to ask you, are you in your own way? And,
and I've got to pause you there, because I want us to pause to ponder that question. Are you in your own way? You just talked about sometimes our default setting is set on blaming other people.
Yes.
If they would do better, if he would do better, if she would do better, if they would be different, right? And you were suggesting that sometimes that external focus on what everybody else is doing is actually the thing that is causing us to miss the most critical aspect of our existence, and that is ourselves.
Yes.
Kind of what we're doing, what we're not doing, how we are not focusing on our own internal working. And, let's be honest, because this is the place that we tell the truth. That's why it's talk that's power. It is not talk for the sake of talking. It is talk that is power. Let's tell the truth. The reality is that many of us, we are a piece of work. And we need to stop blaming. Glenn is cracking up. It is the truth, right, Glenn? We are a piece of work. We just need to tell the truth, because the reality is, if we embrace that, we can understand, although we are a piece of work, we are a work in process.
Yes.
If we allow God to do the work, and if we play our part in God doing the work in us.
Yes, and Dr. K, I want to add on to that. I love that, but I want to add on to that. We are a work in process, and we are worthy of putting in the work.
Yes.
Like, we are worthy of, because a lot of times we don't believe that we're worth it.
Yes.
So we just accept the status quo and just stay right here. And when you stay in your dysfunction and accept that it's a normal thing, although it's paining you, although it's creating suffering, it's because you don't believe that you are worthy. And you were created worthy of it all. So do the work. You are worthy of doing the work.
Okay, so listen to this. Because and you know me well enough, we have these girlfriend conversations all the time. But I see life sometimes in T-shirts.
Do you?
I see these phrases. I believe I could have a whole T-shirt line on these phrases that relate to life. And something you just said, sometimes we stay in our dysfunction. Like, we allow ourselves to stay in our dysfunction. Listen, we can even know it's dysfunctional. And we will allow ourselves to remain in that dysfunction. So here's the T-shirt. Get out of your dysfunction. Right?
Oh, that's
get
good.
Out of your dysfunction. Or let me get out of my dysfunction. How about that? And you talked about the power of that, connecting the power of our movement to the understanding that we are worthy. We are worthy. And here's what's interesting. We will assign worth to other things, and we'll work hard to get those things functioning again. So let's think about our cars for a moment, since you talked about that. Our car can break down. We will go to every length possible to get it running again. We'll take it to get it serviced. If someone ran into it, we'll take it to a body shop to get it fixed. We'll go to all these lengths to get something, that vehicle running again. But we can have a breakdown. Somebody can run into us and damage us. And to your point, we will settle in our dysfunction. And then wonder why we're not running the way we used to run, that we're not operating the way we used to operate. The reality is that you have given yourself permission to remain where you are. We are talking about a very powerful topic today. It is Get Your Mind Right Wednesday. In case you are just tuning in, it is Get Your Mind Right Wednesday. Yes, it is. And we have spent the first part of today's show getting our minds right with our resident psychotherapist, Andrea Wise-Brown, setting our souls on fire as she always does in Andrea style. So we are back. We've been talking about getting out of your way. And we started talking about career. And so you're going to help us understand what to do. So if we are in our own way, at our in our places of work, in our careers, whether we're working at home, sitting behind a computer all day, in virtual meetings all day, help us to understand what to do to get out of our own way.
Yes. So what I want people to understand, because I could actually hear that, right? I could hear, as we were talking about before we went to break, is people saying, okay, Dr. K, and okay, Andrea, so how is it that I get out of my own way? If I feel like this job is the only thing that's going to keep me afloat, keep me alive, support my family, then I want to challenge you on that. I want you to open up your minds. I want you to understand that dusty, dirty blanket is not the only blanket that, that God says that you could have. Like that there is so much more. So when God created each and every one of us, and I speak about this all the time because we are miracles with unlimited abilities. We are, because we are the co-creators. Us plus God. Yes. We create our lives. We are the co-creators of our lives and our experiences. And so what I would ask you, if you don't like the career that you're in or the job that you're in, I would ask you, why are you staying? And then the second question I would ask you is, what is your God-given talent? What is your God-given talent? Because sometimes we end up in jobs because the job pays us, but it really doesn't kind of connect with our God-given talent.
Yes.
Being in this job doesn't align and keep us in the flow of life. And so I would ask, what is your God-given talent? And then if you were to say to me, well, my God-given talent, let me see, it is, and you're thinking about it. But now how do I do that? Or what would I do that? And I can't do anything with that, and this is all that I can do. Then I would ask you, who are you listening to and who told you that?
Wow.
Who told you that this is all that you could do? I have this little story, Dr. K, I'm going to just say quickly about a client of mine in the past. She would come in and we would talk, and she did not like her job. She could not stand her job. And just as you pointed out, when you don't like your job, then it's kind of difficult to not like your job and then love your life. Because we spend so much time doing our job. So she didn't like a job, and I would ask her, what is your God-given talent? And one thing that she told me when she got quiet and prayer and meditation with breath, she said, I love to cook. Like, I love to cook. She says, not only do I cook for all holidays, every holiday, then I have barbecues, and I love to cook. Then just sometimes, just on the weekends, I cook and I invite people over. So I love to cook. Okay, you love to cook, but can you cook? What does food taste like? I love it, and people love my cooking.
Yes.
Like, if I could cook all day and all the time, that I would do it. I said, so that's a God-given talent, because that ain't one of mine. I am not a cook. Now, I can cook to keep us alive, Dr. K. But talent of mine. So when that's a God-given talent and it fills you up and you feel joyous, then that means that is what you should be doing, because your purpose is feeding people and feeding their souls, making them feel good through food. So how do I do that? Well, you lean into it.
That's good.
Well, when there was a reason, what am I supposed to lean into it? So find a place, start selling dinners. If that fills your soul, you work that job during the day, and then you start selling dinners on the weekends, or you start selling dinners when there's certain things that are coming on. You put yourself out there. You ask if you can cook at the church. So you start putting yourself out there and aligning with God's purpose, and doors will open up.
I love, and let's pause right there, because I say this all the time to people. If you don't start, you won't start.
Yes.
Right? If you don't start, you won't start. And so sometimes it goes back to what we were talking about at the top of the show, where we were talking about staying in our own dysfunction. You know, you just asked the question, even when you were kind of giving us that round of questions to reflect on, to ask ourselves. The first question was, why are you staying? Yes. Why are you staying? And I think that's a question to really pause to explore, because, you know, sometimes if we don't examine our why, we will never move to our what.
Ooh,
so if we don't examine why we're staying, we can't even fathom what to do to move.
Yes.
So why am I staying? How is this serving me? You know, and some of us have to tell the truth. And let's just pause for another moment of truth telling. Sometimes we need to tell the truth. We have often fallen into a victim mentality that now serves us well. So we've been talking about getting out of your way in your career. Now we're taking this segue into getting out of your way in your relationships. What do you have for us, Andrea?
Yes. So what research says is that 51% of marriages fail. And what I have been seeing recently during this pandemic is a lot more marriages are really being challenged, and people who are leaving and they're breaking up. So I don't actually have studies currently, right? But I'm just imagining what they will look like post-pandemic. But let me just say this. I want to challenge people in relationships. I want to ask you, are you in your way? Because if you are, get out of your way. If you want this relationship to work and you want this relationship to be successful, and you find yourself in turmoil all the time, ask yourself, am I getting in the way? Because if you are, then get out of your way. Now, let me just say this to you. In regards to being disrespected in a relationship, whether it's the woman or it's the man, you should not be disrespected. So there's a way to use your voice to ask for what you need. There's a way to use your voice to set boundaries. And that is what you should be doing, because you are worth it. You are worth it. And that is you getting out of the way, right? So you not getting out of the way is accepting behavior, accepting being minimalized and being disrespected just to maintain the status quo, the funky blanket, right? So I don't want you to do that.
That's right.
But I want you to speak up and you use your voice, and also be kind to your partner. So if you aren't doing that, I'm urging you to get out of your way. You know, I don't know, before I go on, because I wanted to talk about that disrespect, but I wanted to say, so, you know, use your voice. Say what it is that you need. You need to be heard, because you don't need to be disrespected. But there's a difference, Dr. K, between using your voice because you have needs and having clear communication than for always always making a problem or issue
Yes.
out of every little thing.
Well, and so this whole voice piece, this voice piece is my thing.
Yes.
And so here's what I believe. So everybody can use their voice, right? Everybody can use their voice. But what I hear you calling us to is also what I believe, that we can position our voices. That's a difference between using your voice and positioning your voice, because what positioning our voices gives us is an opportunity to think critically about, where is my voice most impactful? Where is the power of my voice best situated in this circumstance? It doesn't mean that you lose the power of your voice. It means that you become strategic in how you position your voice. The Word of God even tells us things like a soft answer turns away wrath. So positioning your voice, sometimes if we don't have the wisdom, and I just spent the whole month of August in a study of Proverbs. Proverbs is the book of wisdom. Sometimes we are wrecking ourselves because we won't check ourselves and use wisdom in situations. And that sometimes is the power of positioning our voices, is using wisdom in that situation, taking what I call a pee-pee break, which is a personal pause.
Oh, I love it.
And pausing long enough to ask yourself the question, not what do I want to do right now in this situation, but rather asking the question, how do I want this to end? That's the power of positioning our voice instead of thinking past the moment. Thinking past the moment. It has been a joy, a delight to be with you, as it always is, Andrea. This has been a delight. I hope that every listener, you were able to grab something that's helped you adjust your mind. I cannot wait to have you back with me again next week here live on Talk Radio with Dr. K, the place where talk is power. Listen, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever you're facing, whatever is facing you, do what I always encourage you to do, and that is speak life.
I'm growing